Come to my house. It's really nice.
Look, if I'm going to be in pain, if I've got to be 20 feet away from a toilet, it's going to be my toilet. Welcome, everybody. This is the Quackpack Hot Ones. Today we've got our fourth video, fourth video.
May the fourth be with you.
Yeah. It's not May 4th, though. This is Ryan.
Hi, guys.
We're going to say hi to Ryan.
Hi, everybody.
So we're going to get some, I mean, you've obviously seen Hot Ones.
Yeah. Enough that I'm terrified of this.
So you kind of know just the rough basics. Obviously, we're not going to be as well put together as them, but we'll kind of go through it. You can do what you can do. If you got to stop, you got to stop. So we're going to just warm up my palate a little bit.
Hey. Prost.
Who would have thought that we're here?
Look at us, huh?
Look at us. Look at us. Huh?
Look at us, huh?
He looks just like Paul Rudd, doesn't he?
I met him once.
Every time you look in the mirror. All right. Oh, look at Mark was such a sweetie.
Yeah, I noticed that. Well, then he's like, we kind of ran out.
Yeah.
Brendan beforehand was expressive in that he preferred wings over drums.
Flats, yeah, flats all day. 2 boners over 1 boners.
So, Marco, in the preparation process, as you can see, Brendan got hooked up with the flats. The flats of splats.
2 boners. It's actually what I've heard them referred to as.
All right. How do we do this?
All right, we'll start out pretty easy then.
All
so let's start with number 1.
Hey, cheers to you.
Hey, to you. This is a pretty good one. That is a good chicken one.
I'm going to start off cleaning.
You have to, but that is a good hot wing.
Delicious.
This is the Hot Ones, just the buffalo sauce, buffalo hot sauce. So
it is mild cayenne pepper and tangy vinegar in a creamy texture with real butter and no artificial flavoring. It's rich, it's craveable, and it's ready to put on everything. I have to say, it's pretty delicious.
I could put this on everything. That's cleaned. Done. In the books. All right. Pretty easy. Ryan, for me growing up, Christmas Eve was kind of always at your house, right? What was one of your favorite moments, you think, from one of those kind of Christmas Eve events?
Oh, wow. Well, towards the end, every one of them were great. You know, it was always just the type of thing that you have to look forward to. You know, first off, we got a great family. And it was one of the opportunities to get everybody together, and that was the extended family as well. I think my favorite, though, was one of the later ones. We were up at, we were in the house now. We weren't down in Guy Park, which is, I don't even know if you remember Guy Park.
Yeah.
Brick house. So now we're up, and my mom cleared out all the furniture. This is one of the first years she did this. All the furniture in the living room. She put one giant farm table in there, which was, if you took off it was like 15 tables with a giant tablecloth. But we all sat together. There was like probably, I think, like pushing 40 people at that Christmas Eve. And that was my favorite just because we were all together. But it was also like, that was when we were all becoming adults. You know, that was when we were all starting to come into ourselves. You know, we weren't 8 years old anymore. You know, we were anywhere from 15 up to our, you know, in John's case, 64. And it was just nice. That was cool. And you bombed my grandmother with a roll from across the table.
This is my fault.
A cloud of just went up. I mean, that got a little crazy.
Off her chest.
My Uncle Fran took a Skittle off his front tooth. And it ricocheted a good 10 feet. I mean, but that food fighting crap aside, that was fun. But that was probably the best because it was kind of like, oh, this is who we are.
That was a pretty good night. Mark actually convinced me to eat one of those little paper lantern plants.
Oh, they're delicious.
Yeah.
If you haven't had a Japanese paper lantern plant, let me tell you, they should have a wing sauce name based on that. I can't believe you ate one of those.
Look, Mark was very convincing that they taste good and you can eat them. And I didn't believe him, and about 25 minutes later, I said, "All right, Mark."
Those were like 8 years old too. My mom keeps putting them away,
It's like
bringing them out,
paper
putting them
mache.
away.
It just disintegrated into my mouth. It was horrible.
Pascal, if you can get a shot of me missing the beer bottle with my mouth just then,
It was pretty embarrassing. I saw it. Honestly,
pretty bad.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
The hot sauce.
What about you? Do you have one of your favorites?
Yeah, of course. All right, number 2.
Oh, I see. Which this one is Angry Goat.
Yep. This is
Cheers.
what, shishito and garlic.
Definitely tastes the garlic.
I don't know what shishito is, but I'm assuming it tastes like garlic.
Hey Marco, can you Google shishito?
Yeah, Mark, get on the Googleizer.
Sometimes hot East Asian pepper variety of the species. Capsicum and annuum.
Oh yes, Capicium annuum.
Canisium, yeah. Of
course.
Obviously.
That's a household name.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So,
delicious.
you went to Oneonta.
I did.
You know, I actually went there for a college tour. Oneonta was the only school that gave me a denial letter. And it was, I did, you know, like you're supposed to do like a heartfelt, you know, like a heartfelt on your admission essay. And, you know, I really milked my hip problem in mine. Except for Oneonta's, I said, you know what? I'm going to be a funny guy in this one. And I threw out phrases like, with my conventional good looks. I put that in there. And I just talked about how funny I was. And they did not like that. So,
I mean, I'll be honest with you, that's pretty much the only school that gave me an acceptance letter.
yeah. I think if I think if I took it seriously, maybe. But anyways, so that's just a fun fact about me. Oneonta said no. They had one of the cleanest campuses, though, when I walked around it.
That was before my time.
You really dirtied it up when you got
it up.
grimed her up.
Oh, there's a piece of litter.
What was probably one of your favorite Oneonta campus kind of stories?
Oh man, I mean, so many. That's no. It's similar to like why the Christmas Eve thing was is the formulation of who you become as an adult. You know, it's like
Pontificating.
exactly. That's a good word. It's good. That should be the word of the day. That should be across the bottom of the screen. Pontificating. Word of the day.
And that's how you.
There it is.
We're going to
That's
be
how you
watching
spell
it
it.
here. We're going to spell it this way. This way. No, it's this way.
So, my dad's favorite story was my freshman year. I had my brother's old ID, so I could get into the bars.
Sure.
Most of the time, you didn't need them, but like, so it was freshman year. It was a random Friday night, and I had a bunch of roommates from Long Island. Hey, Quackenbush. You know, I can't do the accent, but they were good.
Long
guys.
Island.
Long Island. Very
Long
good
Island,
guys. I
yeah.
was the only upstate guy. And they say, hey, Quacky, we're going out to the bar. You want to go? So I was like, yeah, all right. So that was kind of like Boston, but they didn't sound anything like that. So we go down to this place called Freddy's, and they used to run a special. It was a pitcher of beer and 5 shots for $5.
That's criminal.
So it was like, but I mean, they were like fruity shots, but still, it's like,
that is a lawsuit
it
today.
is, yes, that is pre-over-serving laws.
Oh, yeah.
So we were the first ones there. Like they opened at 8 o'clock. We were there at 8 o'clock and 30 seconds. Like, and so we lined up the entire bar, and I'm all the way at the end. And the bartender, I remember she was this really pretty girl. She starts down at the other end, and I'm sitting around, I'm panicking. I'm like, oh my God, all these guys from Long Island, I got to order something. They're all like, I'll have a Miller Lite, I'll have this, I'll have that. And I'm like, I got to order something. And also, I'm like looking at the pretty bartender. I got to try to impress the pretty bartender because she gives a shit. So it gets down to me, and I say the first thing I think of, which is the same drink my father got every time we ever went out to eat as a family. So she comes to me, I'll take a Miller Lite, I'll take this. And she goes, yeah, what can I get you? I said, oh, the Black Velvet Manhattan on the rocks. And so she half turns and looks back, and she's like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah. And then I turn and look at all the guys from Milan, and they're looking at me like, has Quackenbush got a problem?
These guys are working in the mines.
So she legit makes the thing, and it comes in a glass like this because it's not a rocks glass kind of a bar. And she passes it over to me, and every one of the Long Island guys are just staring at me. So I cheers, and I take a big sip, and I don't do anything, but then they turn around, and I go to take another sip, and I just spit it right back in the glass, and I lean it back across the bar. I say, "Can I have a Sprite?" That was, yeah, black velvet. If it comes in a plastic jug, you don't need to drink it.
You don't need to, but you get to. That's the good part.
It's my dad. Fast forward a few years later, my brother and I are having Thanksgiving at, or something, so it might have been Christmas or something like that at my grandmother's house. And my dad, he was feeling good. He wasn't feeling any pain, and he had a black velvet Manhattan. And when he wasn't looking, my brother took a bunch of balsamic vinegar and basically emptied the bottle into his glass. And my dad, in horror, like expected him to take a sip and spit it out, but he just keeps sipping it. You can see the balsamic in the bottom of the glass, like, ugh.
No, ma'am.
You're gonna regret that, doggo. So anyway, that's a long-winded story, but that's
pretty gross. Gonna be honest with you.
That was that.
Did your father know that there was balsamic in the?
No, he never knew. We told him like 3 days later. He had no idea. He goes, "Oh, it tasted fine."
Yeah, it tasted better, I thought. It's my favorite. I love it. All right. Here we are. Oh, moving on to number 3.
Piscaya.
Yeah, Piscaya.
Spicy sweet passion fruit.
Oh yeah.
Cheers.
Spicy and sweet.
Starts out very sweet.
Very sweet. I don't have any spice.
Piscaya, hot sauce with a twist.
Is the twist that it's not that hot?
It's delicious.
So we'll kind of keep in the same vein of Oneana. Who was your favorite professor?
Oh God, without a doubt, Dr. Patrick Meaner. He was a distinguished professor. He actually just passed away recently. One of my best friends. He distinguished professor of English. Taught for 30 some odd years at the collegiate level. He taught high school before that. From Ohio originally. He had one older brother and was a massive fan of John Cheever and Black Mountain poets and beatnik poets like Allen Ginsberg and Lawrence Ferlinghetti and so on and so forth. You don't need to know the names, but I took a class that I thought was really interesting, and this is when I was still in my screw around phase of college, but although there's always that part of it, but he...
I never didn't have a screw around phase.
I mean, there is something to be said. So there was a class called Portrait of the Artist that was in the syllabus that fulfilled one of the requirements, and I thought, oh, well, that sounds pretty cool. I had no idea that was actually a James Joyce novel or book, but I was like, okay, well, I'll take that. So James Joyce being an Irish writer, so he was the professor, and every class you had to do you had to fill out like a quiz. Basically, you had to write a quiz based on the assigned reading for that week. It was a night class.
Sure.
And it was like 2 or 3 classes in. We were reading Ham on Rye, which is a novel by a writer called Charles Bukowski, who is one of those guys that I like his books, but I would never want to meet him because it would ruin every part of the art because he was a terrible person. I wrote my essay and I handed it in. And the next class, he usually had his TAs pass out the quizzes, and he's holding it and he's looking around, and he looks at me, and I'm in the back row, and he's, an old man, so he's like trying to navigate.
Like 50?
Well, older. He's like late 60s. Excuse me. Never took care of himself. Excuse me. And he's wandering his way through the class, and he says, "Are you Ryan?" And I said, "Yes." And he hands it to me. He goes, "See me at the end of class." And he had just circled my name on the paper. That's all he had done. So I was like, oh.
Never a good thing, right?
No. And I'm looking around. I'm like, and the kids next to me are like, "What'd you do?
Shit.
What'd you do?" So anyway, the end of class, at the 3-hour lecture, at the end of class, I go up, and I'm the last one. I wait for everybody to file in. I said, "Dr. Meaner, you wanted to talk to me?" And he takes the paper back from me. He goes, "Do you have any idea how good you are?" And I was like, "No, tell me more." So we ended up going out to, he took me out for a cup of coffee. We ended up hanging out all the time. He's just changed my life in every way possible. That man got me published. Phenomenal human being. The world is a sadder place that he's not a part of it, but it's a luckier place that he was, because he's just changed my life. without a doubt.
Yeah.
The power of a good teacher, Mark.
Mark's not a teacher, he's a gym coach, okay?
We can edit that part out.
Those that can't do teach, and those that can't teach gym.
I just picture Mark is about to pick up the baseball bat chilling over there.
Who's Jim? I don't coach at gym. I'll teach you some of my skills.